Imagine this. Your back is against the wall, the pressure is suffocating, and failure seems inevitable. What do? Do you crumple, or do you adapt, rise, and push forward? We all face moments that test our limits. Athletes, leaders, entrepreneurs, and everyday people, they all experience pressure. But what separates those who break from those who break through, it's not talent, it's not intelligence, it's mental resilience. Today we're going to break down what resilience really is, why it's the key to thriving under pressure, and how you can build it not just as a skill, but as a way of life. Most people see pressure as something to be avoided, something that weighs us down, suffocates us, and makes life harder. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if pressure isn't a burden, but a privilege? Think about the moments in life that truly define us, the moments when we're tested, when everything is on the line, when we're forced to make a choice, step up or step back. These are the moments that separate those who rise from those who retreat. And the only reason these moments exist is because of pressure. Pressure is a signal. It tells us that something matters. It tells us that we are in a position of responsibility, influence, or growth. People who never experience pressure, they're not the ones making an impact. They're not the ones pushing boundaries. They're not the ones leading, innovating, or striving for something greater. Pressure only finds those who are in the game. Look at the greatest athletes in the world, the ones who thrive under the bright lights in the final seconds of a game with the crowd roaring and millions watching. They don't see pressure as something to fear. They see it as an opportunity. They know that without pressure, there's no championship moment. Without pressure, there's no glory, no breakthrough, no story worth telling. The same applies in leadership, business, and everyday life. The best CEOs don't avoid tough decisions, they embrace them. The most influential leaders don't crumble under criticism, they use it to refine their vision. The strongest individuals don't run from adversity, they lean into it knowing that it's shaping them into something greater. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think pressure is a sign that something is wrong, that if they're feeling overwhelmed or challenged, they must be on the wrong path. But the truth is the opposite. Pressure is proof that you're exactly where you need to be. It's proof that you are in the arena, that you are being entrusted with something significant, that you are capable of more than you think. Think about the times in your life when you felt the most pressure. Maybe it was a high-stakes project at work, a major life decision, or a moment when people were depending on you. Did it feel overwhelming? Probably. Did it stretch you in ways you weren't expecting? Absolutely. But did it also force you to grow, to adapt, to find strength you didn't know you had? Every single time. Pressure doesn't just expose us, it elevates us. It forces us to develop new skills, to sharpen our focus, to become more disciplined, more creative, more resilient. It teaches us to perform under stress, to make decisions with clarity, to handle setbacks with grace. It builds us into the kind of people who can handle even more pressure in the future. And that's the secret. The more we embrace pressure, the stronger we become. The stronger we become, the bigger the challenges we can take on. And the bigger the challenges we take on, the greater the impact we make. When the pressure is on, when the stakes are high, and when everything in you wants to quit, there's only one thing that will keep you moving forward: your why. Most people operate on what they do and how they do it. They chase goals, check off tasks, and follow routines. But when adversity strikes, when they're exhausted, frustrated, or overwhelmed, those surface-level motivations start to crack, because the what and the how are not enough. When life gets tough, you need something deeper, something that anchors you, something that makes all the struggle, all the setbacks, and all the sacrifices worth it. Your why is that anchor. It's the core reason behind everything you do. It's the purpose that fuels you when motivation fades. It's what gives meaning to the grind, the pain, and the challenges you face. Look at anyone who has achieved something extraordinary, an elite athlete, a world-changing entrepreneur, a revolutionary leader. What sets them apart isn't just talent, skill, or intelligence. It's their unshakable sense of purpose. It's a fire inside them that refuses to go out no matter how strong the storm. Think about a firefighter running into a burning building. The smoke is thick, the flames are raging, and every instinct in their body is screaming to run the other way, but they don't. Why? Because their purpose is clear, to save lives. That clarity overpowers fear. That purpose drowns out doubt. Or take a surgeon in the middle of a 10-hour operation. Their hands are steady, their mind is focused, and exhaustion is creeping in. But they push through because they're not just cutting and stitching, they're saving a family from heartbreak. That's what keeps them sharp. That's what keeps them going. Now think about yourself. What is your why? If you're an entrepreneur, is it just about making money? Or is it about creating something that changes people's lives? If you're an athlete, is it just about winning, or is it about proving to yourself what you're truly capable of? If you're a leader, is it just about managing a team, or is it about inspiring others to be their best? People who lack a strong why crumble under pressure. The first sign of difficulty, and they start questioning if it's even worth it. They get stuck in a cycle of starting, stopping, and second-guessing themselves. But those who have a clear purpose, they don't break. They might bend, they might struggle, but they never stop. Because when you know your why, every challenge becomes fuel, every failure becomes a lesson, every obstacle becomes a stepping stone. And the pressure, it stops being something you fear, it becomes something you embrace, because you know exactly what you're fighting for. Discomfort is the price of growth, yet most people spend their entire lives avoiding it. They stay in safe jobs, in familiar routines, in relationships that don't challenge them, all because they fear the unknown. But the truth is, nothing great, nothing truly transformational ever comes from comfort. Every breakthrough, every moment of real progress, every significant leap forward happens outside of what feels easy and familiar. Think about it. When we were kids, we had to struggle to walk before we could run. We fell, we stumbled, we got frustrated, but we didn't stop because we didn't know any better. We embraced the discomfort without even thinking about it. We didn't see failure as failure. We saw it as part of the process. But as we get older, something shifts. We start associating discomfort with danger. We start fearing the pain of failure, the awkwardness of being a beginner, the vulnerability of not knowing what we're doing. So we stay in our comfort zones, convincing ourselves that safety equals happiness. But here's the paradox. The longer we stay comfortable, the more uncomfortable life actually becomes. Staying in the same place, doing the same thing, never taking risks, eventually that leads to stagnation, regret, and frustration. We start feeling stuck. Not because the world is against us, but because we've stopped challenging ourselves. We've stopped choosing discomfort in the short term, and as a result, we experience it in the long term in ways we never expected. Look at the most resilient people, the high performers, the leaders, the ones who seem to handle anything life throws at them. They're not lucky, they're not born different. The only thing that separates them from everyone else is that they've trained themselves to be comfortable with discomfort. They understand that pain is temporary, but progress is permanent. Athletes push their bodies to exhaustion because they know that's how strength is built. Entrepreneurs face uncertainty and risk because they know that's where innovation happens. Great leaders step into difficult conversations because they know that's how real change begins. They don't run from discomfort, they seek it out. They put themselves in situations that stretch them because they understand that's where growth lives. And the amazing thing, the more you expose yourself to discomfort, the less power it has over you. What once felt terrifying becomes second nature. What once seemed impossible becomes part of your routine. The things that used to scare you, they become stepping stones to your next level. Most people wait for life to force discomfort upon them. They wait until they have no choice but to change, no choice but to adapt, no choice but to push through. But the ones who thrive, they choose discomfort before they have to. They train in adversity before adversity finds them. They put themselves in uncomfortable situations not because they enjoy struggle, but because they know that on the other side of struggle is the life they actually want. In a world that glorifies hustle, exhaustion has become a badge of honor. We've been conditioned to believe that success belongs to those who grind the hardest, work the longest hours, and push themselves past their limits. We celebrate the all-nighters, the non-stop work ethic, the stories of people who sacrificed everything to achieve their goals. But what we don't talk about enough is what happens when that approach leads to burnout. What happens when the body shuts down, when the mind becomes foggy, when motivation disappears, not because we aren't capable, but because we never allowed ourselves to recharge. The idea that rest equals weakness is one of the biggest lies we've been sold. The strongest, most resilient people in the world don't just know how to work hard, they know how to recover. They understand that recovery isn't an afterthought, it's a strategy. It's not something you do only when you're completely drained. It's something you integrate into your life so that you never reach the point of collapse. Look at the best athletes in the world. They don't train at full intensity every single day. They push hard, they break their muscles down, but then they rest, recover, and come back even stronger. Without recovery, their performance would suffer. Their bodies would weaken instead of strengthen. They would get slower instead of faster. Recovery isn't a sign of slacking off. It's the very thing that allows them to sustain their peak performance over time. Now, take that same principle and apply it to your own life, whether you're an entrepreneur, a leader, an artist, or someone chasing a personal goal. The same rule applies. You can't give your best if you're constantly running on empty. Your ability to perform, to think clearly, to be creative, to lead effectively, all of it depends on your ability to recover. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think recovery means stopping completely. They assume it means doing nothing, stepping away indefinitely, or losing momentum. But real recovery isn't about quitting, it's about recharging with purpose. It's about knowing when to step back so you can step forward even stronger. It's about managing your energy, not just your time. Think about it. If you never take time to reset, stress builds up, your mind becomes cluttered, your decision-making suffers, you become reactive instead of proactive, and over time, what was once your passion starts to feel like a burden. The very thing you loved doing, the thing you worked so hard for, becomes something you dread, not because you don't care anymore, but because you never allowed yourself to breathe. The most successful people don't just schedule work, they schedule recovery. They understand that rest isn't a luxury, it's a requirement for sustained excellence. They prioritize sleep, not because they're lazy, but because they know their brain performs better when it's rested. They take breaks not because they lack discipline, but because they know those breaks make them sharper, more focused, and more creative. They step away when needed, not because they're giving up, but because they know that by pausing, they can come back and play the long game. Yet society still pushes the narrative that rest is for the weak, that if you're not constantly moving, you're falling behind. But the truth is, burnout is what actually sets you back. Burnout leads to mistakes. Burnout leads to poor judgment. Burnout leads to lost opportunities, fractured relationships, and a life that feels like it's running on autopilot. The most elite performers in the world don't wait until they're exhausted to rest. They build recovery into their strategy. They listen to their bodies. They prioritize mental clarity. They know that winning isn't about who can push the hardest in the short term. It's about who can sustain peak performance for the long haul. Mental resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. It's not about avoiding pressure, stress, or discomfort. It's about learning how to navigate them, how to thrive in them, and how to come out stronger on the other side. The difference between those who break under pressure and those who break through isn't talent, intelligence, or luck. It's mindset. It's the ability to reframe pressure as a privilege, to anchor yourself in a powerful why, to focus on controlling what you can, to step boldly into discomfort, to surround yourself with a tribe that strengthens you, and to understand that recovery isn't quitting, it's reloading. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to sharpen your resilience. Every setback is a lesson. Every high-pressure moment is a chance to prove to yourself what you're truly capable of. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, the next time doubt creeps in, the next time you want to give up, remember this: the struggle is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're growing. It's a sign that you're in the right arena. It's a sign that you're exactly where you need to be. Lean in, push forward, embrace the process. Because resilience isn't built when things are easy. It's built in the moments that test you the most. And if you keep showing up, keep doing the work, and keep strengthening your mindset, There is no pressure, no challenge, and no obstacle that can break you.